You have recently started the process of organizing public hearings in the world of knowledge. And the first one of this kind, held in Banaras last year, had the theme Bring Down the Walls of the University. Could you tell us a little bit more about both the public hearing in the world of knowledge idea and what you mean by bring down the walls of the university?
You see, we have started this process of public hearings on the world of knowledge. We call them Gyan Panchayat. Well, translated some kind of knowledge arbitration or some such meaning it would, some such language it would assume. It is unknown. The knowledgeable, the so-called knowledgeable of the modern world do not accept the concept of a public hearing on the world of knowledge. Whether science is worth pursuing or not, the scientist is not ready to listen to anybody's arguments who hasn't gone through the rigors of science. Not only whether it is worth pursuing or not, whether science is right or wrong, on the veracity aspect also, the scientist is absolutely guarded through the community, through the location of his activity, namely the university, and so on. There is no interaction with the non-scientist, of the knowledgeable, with the so-called somebody who has not gone through the university, gone through the rigors of modern education. There is no interaction with him on critical questions of what is knowledge and what is not knowledge, what is worth pursuing in the world of knowledge and what ought not to be pursued, and so on. At this particular juncture, where we are conceptualizing a movement, a knowledge movement based largely on concepts of Lokavidya, we need to handle the university and the knowledge in the university. We need to confront it up front, take up questions which the public domain has been afraid of taking up so far. I am saying afraid of in the sense that it's not consciously afraid of, but it's kind of, it fears the consequences that they will be called fools by the university if they make larger comments on the university. And after all, it is the university who decides who is a fool and who is not, who is knowledgeable and who is not, and so on. One doesn't like to, the politicians, the other actors in the public domain do not want to take such large risks. We are hardly actors in the public domain at this moment of time. And anyway, if there is an objective of pursuing the path of Lokavidya for the liberation of the bahishkrit samaj, then the university needs to be confronted right from the front. Public hearings, the very idea of public hearings is alien, as I said in the beginning, to the world of modern knowledge. And so we thought that it would be appropriate to have the first public hearing, the first Gyan Panchayat, on, as we termed it, bringing down the walls of the university. That is, erasing distances between the populace and the university and the so-called knowledgeable. Erasing the economic distance, free entries, easy entries into the university, and erasing psychological distance, that if somebody has not gone through English education, that he or she will not be able to acquire knowledge of a higher kind, which is spreading today. Erase these distances, erase these separations. And most of the universities, the larger universities, are actually walled. They didn't start with a wall, most of them did not, but they have ended up with walls. All new universities apparently have a very clearly, जिसको in Hindi they call it chahar diwari, a wall that encircles a certain place for safety, security, for keep separating it from the rest and so on. So the first formulation was bring down these walls. And this is not only a physical wall, it's a wall in all senses. You see, what is the university? University daily produces that knowledge, which produces and reproduces the capitalist relationships in society. The economic relationships, the property relationships, the relationships in the market, the relationships of production, the social relationships of the modern society. All these relationships are produced and reproduced daily based on its kind of support, the final support base, and even an active support base lies in the knowledge in the university. And in this sense, the university is the most prized product of the capitalist age. It's as if the last bastion of strength of the capitalist society. Change its economics, try to change the society, change the educational system, change the social relationships, change the legal system, and all these, as you know, all these have been attempted through the 20th century. Not only the socialist countries, even the newly independent countries, with a country like ours, like India, with Gandhi's leadership, although it did not make many attempts, but there were certain ideas with which it could have experimented. There would be other non-communist societies also who have made large attempts of changing these things. But the changes don't go too far. As we already noticed, restoration is as if in the offing. And where lies the command of the restoration? In the university. All restorations as if have taken place, commanded from the university. How can you change the relationships in agriculture if the technology of agriculture will not change because the university insists that this is the proper technology of agriculture, not what people know and not what people do, but what the agriculture college says. And if it says that alone, which reproduces the older relationships will be reproduced. Nobody can stop that. And this university, now it has not occupied this position by any accident or anything, a very, very well designed position. It is supposed to lie in a sea of ignorance. It doesn't allow a situation in which a challenge can be erected. All others are fools, ignorant people who need to go through a certain training, 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. An education, a rigorous education as they call it. Rigorous modern education they must go through in order to become learned men, in order to become knowledgeable persons. So this university as a physical location and the knowledge which is largely structured on the paradigm of science, in physics in ultimate analysis, on the paradigm of the science of physics. All kinds of knowledge. Whether you teach history, you do art appreciation, you do civil engineering, you do ceramics, you teach Sanskrit, teach what you like, study what you like, but it must be shaped according to the compulsions of physics, the paradigm of physics, the logic of physics, the logic of science. So in this manner, this is physically and conceptually a very isolated location at which the university sits. Bring down the walls of the university is to say that break this isolation. Not only physically, let the peasants and the workers and their children storm the universities. Go there, sit and not move out at all. And force a change. But that won't force a change until you also claim that university ought to be a place, any knowledge institution ought to be located in a sea of knowledge. It's like people are knowledgeable. Lokavidya spread, like in this country. Lokavidya, with the knowledge of peasants and artisans and adivasis and women and so on, is spread all over society. Universities are special types of centers of knowledge activity located in a sea of knowledge. which means that you recognize Lokavidya as proper knowledge and you recognize university as a special place of knowledge activity suited for certain purposes. Now this is the kind of, not that it would happen in a day or two or by a single shot or by a sleight of hand, nothing of the kind. But to say that bring down the walls of the university is to say that break the isolation of the university physically and conceptually both. Good.